Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the UNIQUEFemme podcast. I'm so excited for you guys to listen or to watch this episode and the conversation that I got to have with Sophie Mei. It was so powerful, and just get ready to be inspired. And I'll share a little bit about Sophie Mei. She is an habitual dog patter, sun gazer, tree climber, and moss touching enthusiast. She's a Malaysian energy worker, alternative healing practitioner, artist, community organizer, and revolutionary. Through different mediums, Sophie dedicates her life to exploring how we as individuals and a collective can bridge the gap between fear and love, creating intimate care structures, and live together consciously. She is just an absolute heart-led powerhouse, and I cannot wait for you guys to listen in or watch back on this beautiful conversation. Love you guys. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the UNIQUEFemme podcast. I'm so excited because I am sitting here with Sophie Mei. Beautiful soul. I'm going to go straight into her wonderful bio to give you an idea of who she is, but be ready to probably transform the way you are looking at certain situations in your life. This is going to be a deep, raw, internal journey. Thank you so much for coming here. And this is the first time we're actually meeting. And even the minute you walked in, I was like, wow, it's the most beautiful and expansive energy. That's what I want to say. Like, you could feel it. There's just like a powerful and like a loving way, right? Like the power and the beauty and the strength. I could feel the strength and I could feel the love, and it's so beautiful to be in your energy, and I think it's probably quite sacred. And so thank you.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this love that I have in my heart with you and everyone listening today. I'm excited to see where spirit takes us, how the energy flows in today's session.
Yes. Okay. Two energy practitioners, workers coming together to have a conversation, and like you said, just letting it be divinely guided. And we're so excited and so grateful for you. If you're watching this back, if you're listening, we are sending you so much love, and just know that you are in the most loving container portal today with us here. Sophie, maybe you could give us, a little bit of a background of how you came to be, how your deep love and connection to divine was developed, and how that journey started for you.
So I think to understand and really answer this question, I have to go back, way back to when I was a little child and explain a little bit about my family lineage. So I am biracial, and in Malaysia, we have three main races. We have the Chinese, the Malays, and the Indians. So my mom is Chinese and my dad is half Indian and half Chinese. Okay. So I'm a little bit mix of like Chinese and Indian, and my parents, they have different religions or different spiritual beliefs. And this was a big thing for our family because on both sides, my grandparents are like staunch Christians. Okay. So one of them is Catholic, another one is Methodist. And for my dad, he chose to be Hindu. Yeah. And go along his own path to connect with the divine. And so I can still remember a time where my dad, he was like on a pilgrimage to India for a couple of weeks, and my mom chose to follow him, even though my mom's Catholic. And she would still like honor all the traditions. She would go inside the temple, pray. And I remember growing up, on Saturday, I would go to the temple and I would pray in the Hindu temple. And then on Sunday, I would go to church. And um, this is very uncommon because in Christianity, they always say that there's only one God. But when I went into the temple, my engagement and experience with the Hindu faith taught me that actually, yes, it's one God, but in many, many different forms and expressions. And so I think Hinduism for me taught me that no matter where I go and who I'm with or what I'm with, everything around me is just an expression of the divine. And so I can really serve people or God by the energy that I bring into conversations or the degree of presence that I bring. And so I'm very intentional with the space that I come from. Yeah. And I think my parents, they taught me through their beautiful relationship and individual relationships with the divine that actually love truly is consideration and just the willingness to understand what is important to another person and then integrate that into our lives as our own, you know? And I think they really taught me that your well-being is also my well-being. And so let me choose to understand you and integrate what's important to you into my life. So I saw them really do that for each other because my dad, he would come to church on Sunday, he would sit through mass, and then my mom would, on Saturday, would go to the temple and pray together. So that experience growing up has really shaped how I see the world and also I think how much reverence and respect I have for different cultures or different religions because when we can see the interconnectedness in everything, everything then becomes sacred. Yeah. That's a little bit about my background.
Thank you for sharing. That's quite beautiful, and like you said, I think quite rare to have, both your parents honor so deeply the other's beliefs and values and you know their values, but also the tradition behind that and being able to explore that and witness that, and like you said, witnessing it with an open heart and an open mind.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And if we could just for that for each other, what a world
Right.
we would live in. And I think that's a huge part of bringing up the collective frequency is just going, I see you and I respect you and I want to know more, and I want, like you said, your well-being is my well-being. And it's such a beautiful way to walk into a space. And I think that when we do walk into a space with that intention, with that energy, the energy behind the intention, the even how we carry ourselves, and that's where movement comes in too. Like you are creating that space for others to also not only feel seen but to share.
Yeah.
And then it opens the door up for conversations and for experiences, and it allows us to challenge our own thoughts in some ways as well too, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like that love really is a revolution. Really, really, really is a revolution. And I feel like when we can approach conversations and connections from that space, we can connect on our differences and we can meet on the places that we are similar. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, all of us want connection. All of us want to experience love and peace and alignment and creativity and flow. And so how I think the pathways to reach those destinations are very unique and individual to each person. And it's so lovely to be able to hear how each person reaches that destination, but in their own way or their own path. And I think that's so beautiful.
And I wonder if, and thank you for sharing. I know that when we were, chatting a little bit before, turning the cameras on, and we were talking about the idea of fear, and I wonder if there is this fear that stops us from integrating or from having these conversations or from being vulnerable in a space that we don't necessarily know. And we were talking about, always walking into a room or walking into a space or leading from or checking in with yourself and going, am I leading from love in the situation or am I leading from fear? And I think that those are two, if we can ask ourselves that several times a day,
Yeah.
I think we'd be surprised to see how many, how we would change maybe the way we're making decisions, or even it would challenge some of our thoughts.
Mhm.
Can you expand a little bit more on that? Because I know it's something that means a lot to you, and that you speak so well about. Like there's just such a beautiful way that you explain it and your understanding. So can you add on to that, or provide your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about where to start. I think starting off with how fear comes about is important. And so, how fear comes about is when there's a separation, and the separation is always created in our minds, right? Um, Fear also comes about when we experience trauma, right? Big or small, as a little child. And trauma just means when we felt unsafe, or we weren't experiencing unconditional love. We were taught that love was conditional. Okay. And all of us, we experience this. And what happens is that when we feel unsafe, what happens is that in order to be loved, we are taught that we have to be something that we are not. And so we resist and we fragment a part of ourselves that we are in order to experience love. And that fragmentation occurs. And that's when a part of us experiences fear, right? And it's always because of the mind. When there's judgment or thoughts that, you're not good enough, or you're only good enough if dot, dot, dot. And you put the condition there and the label there. And what I realize a lot is that with working with others and also myself, is that those parts that we have fragmented long, long time ago, they get triggered in the present moment, and they say, hey, I want you to notice me. I want to be reintegrated back again. Yeah. I want to be loved and acknowledged and part of the wholeness that I am. Yeah. And so a lot of the work that I do is about remembering and reintegrating that fragmented part of us back into the core of who we are. And I think also on your question, Cynthia, how we know if we are operating from a space of fear is, do we feel contracted in our heart space? Do we feel contracted? And contraction can feel like a tightness. It can feel like a clenching. Sometimes when I'm in fear, I feel it in my gut, like a squeezing. I feel it also as tightness in my chest, or I feel it as heaviness in my head. Like a lot of my attention, my energy is all up in my head space, but without feeling it grounded in my body. Yeah. So that's how I know when I'm operating from fear. When I'm operating from love, it's not that the fear is not present, but now there's more space to honor the fear. Yeah. So I feel like love really for me is just spaciousness. It's like a very open quality. And so for love, I feel an expansion of my heart. Like I can tell you a time where I was about to perform poetry live, like a spoken word for the first time. And in that moment, I was experiencing fear, like full body tremors, Cynthia, like involuntarily, like my hands were shaking, my legs were shaking by itself. But I knew deep in my core that I needed to do that. I needed to perform to allow my soul to come into the forefront. Yeah. And take up space and be seen. And so I was like, okay, I'm acknowledging the fear, but I have a lot of willingness to put my best foot forward and see where this goes. And we take it on from there. And I told my soul, like, okay, all I'm going to do is just say yes. Once I'm up there, you have to take the show. You have to lead, because that's beyond me already. And so that taught me that love really is just creating enough space to honor the fear, but then still being able to listen to and choose to act from the spirit. Yeah. And what the spirit feels called to do. And in that moment, I could hear two voices very distinctly. My ego saying, hell no, so what are you doing? What are you doing? Why would you want to put yourself through so much discomfort and to offer yourself up to judgment? Are you crazy?
Mhm.
But my soul was like, no, this is something that I want to experience. And there's so much liberation that can come from choosing to honor the fear, but then move beyond it,
Mhm.
you know, to experience a deeper truth. Yeah. So that's how I feel fear and love in my body. I think what helps bridge the two, because sometimes it feels like such a big jump in consciousness that we have to make to get from like fear all the way up to love. And so the bridging quality for me, the middleman who I love dearly, is the energy of willingness. I love willingness. I love curiosity. I love willingness. I feel like they are the ones that help me get from fear into love again. And then it doesn't feel like love is so far away anymore when I can get into the middle point first.
What a beautiful visual.
Yeah.
Yes. As a visual person, I'm like, I see it.
You see it as
Wow. Wow. What a beautiful, and it feels like the willingness feels to me a little bit like play. Like you
Yeah.
said, because the curiosity
Mhm.
part, it feels like that's our child. Because when we're young kids, generally, we have that willingness, we have that curiosity, and we know that many of the beliefs that you said we were talking about earlier, and those fragments and parts of yourself kind of get shifted, let's say, and most of these beliefs that we have about ourselves and how the world actually works is created by the time we're 7. And so if we can take ourselves back before these beliefs, and um, we're such a deep part of ourselves, it allows us to play. It allows us to be curious. And I loved what you said about the ego as well, because we always say like, oh, it's my ego, but your ego is there to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And so if you can actually approach not only all parts of yourself, but also the ways you've been trying to keep yourself safe with love. Like you said, you can approach your fear with love. You can approach your ego with love and go, thanks, babe, for trying to keep me safe. You've kept me safe for so long. But in this moment, I have a soul's calling. In this moment, I have a knowing and a truth, and I want to play. And so it's approaching all of that, especially ourselves, with that love. Anything you want to any thoughts about that?
Yeah. You said how our ego just was there to keep us safe. And yeah, it's an adaptive strategy, right? Like we have so many different adaptive strategies dependent on what we experienced when we felt unsafe during our childhood. Yeah. And I had a thought, but I just lost it. Hopefully it'll come back.
It was meant to be.
Come back. Yeah. So I also feel that when we can approach our ego and those adaptive strategies from a space of welcoming in rather than pushing away, it's so powerful, because the places where we experience the most trauma, the most fear, the most pain is actually those same spaces have the biggest capacity for us to experience liberation. And I think let's just sit with that for a moment, because what I mean by that is, if there are parts of us that are already so liberated, we experience play, we experience curiosity, we experience joy, right? Then there's only a little bit more space that we are able to experience more liberation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are parts of us that are in pain, that are out of balance, that is operating from a space of fear, that feels not good enough, then actually those parts of us, if we were to really sit with and listen to and understand, we realize that those parts of us have the biggest capacity for us to experience even deeper liberation. Yeah. So when we want to experience freedom, true freedom, we don't really have, not to say that we shouldn't, but we don't only need to look at the parts of us that are already light, but actually to check in with the parts of us that are experiencing the shadows right now. And then shine a little bit of light there, a little bit of light there. And we realize that we become much brighter overall. Yeah.
I have such a feeling like right in my solar plexus right now. I'm like, ooh, that is such a powerful message. And something that I love that you said is that if we can sit with the parts of us that are sitting in the shadow or are experiencing our shadow, we can shine a little bit of light. And what I love about that so much is that I really think our gifts are found within the shadow.
Yes.
And so if you sit with those parts of yourself, that part of yourself as a child that didn't feel like her creativity was worthy of, or there's parts of yourself that you can sit with. In fact, that part of you carries so many gifts.
So many.
And so not only do you get to of course, get to know yourself a little better, honor those parts of yourselves, and do that healing. There's such a healing aspect to that, but you also get to develop your gifts again. You get to allow that part of you to shine because every part of you has, I think, so many gifts. And so when you said that, I just felt like, oh, like there was just a full body reaction to that message.
And it's also like the analogy of a tree. Yes. You know it. You know it. I'm sure you guys know it too. It's like in order for a tree to really grow tall and reach the light or reach the heavens, its roots need to be so deep and so vast, and they really need to go down all the way into the earth. And so people in the spiritual community really sometimes only like to look at the light. And yes, we should honor the light. But what I'm saying is that our liberation is found in the root. It's found in the shadows. And I think it's always a balance of both. Yeah. When we can do more of the shadow work, we realize that it just increases our capacity to also shoot up into the light. And we see like new sprouts coming up, or like, oh, a new branch, a new leaf, new foliage. And a year later, if we continue this work of doing the shadow work, we see, my tree has grown so big in just a year. Yeah. So I think our focus really needs to be on going within. Yeah. Looking at our roots, tending to our soil. And then it will also show outwardly. Yeah.
I also love that something that you said that I'm like, oh, I think it's so important. Sometimes we forget to do is, like you said, going back to our roots and taking care of our soil, our foundation, our core, our values. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I being? And rather than what am I necessarily, what's where am I shining or who am I shining for? Whatever it is, but also I love the idea of look at how far you've come. Like, look at how much your tree has grown, though. Have you stopped to look at the tree rather than continuously looking at the light and going, okay, but I want it to be that big? What if we just took a moment, went back to our roots and looked at how far you've come? Look at how beautiful your tree has grown already, and being with that, playing with that, dancing around it, and just, I think sometimes we can become so focused on the goal, and our goals are beautiful, they're great, it's the impact we're wanting to make, it's maybe the movement that you're feeling called to share, but there's also something about sitting within where you are and finding the freedom there. Like, that's the freedom. The freedom's not out there. It's very much where you are. And so even when we talk about goal oriented, like getting there, for me, it's very much like it's just more of a growth. It's an expansion, but really the freedom is there with you within your tree and within whatever it is that you're experiencing. Yeah. And so I love that you said that, because I think we forget to do that sometimes. I think it's, and so maybe like if you're watching this back, it's stopping going, how far have I come? Yeah. Right. And I would love to, if that's okay with you, share, like, even in terms of my concussion journey.
Yes,
so
please. Oh my,
so, sometimes, or if you have chronic pain, or if you've had a goal, or, you're building a business, or whatever it is, you're in school, or you're trying something new. It's, instead of looking at like what maybe you're experiencing right now or where you haven't gotten, think of like, how much have I healed? Like, look at how much I've healed. Look at how much work I've done. Look at how, like, my beautiful friendships that I've created. Like, look at the progress. And then if it does feel kind of difficult in that sense, where maybe for me it's like when I would have like symptoms, I'd be like, oh, symptoms again.
But all this healing and symptoms again?
Right. It's like, I'm working so hard on healing.
When does this end?
But it's like, but I actually haven't had symptoms in a while. Like, the space between getting those symptomatic times was growing. Yeah. And so if you could just look back and notice the progress, notice the healing, and know that it's also, everything's an ebb and flow. Everything is breath. And everything's going to go up and down. Water, it's flowy, including your healing, including your journey. I really don't believe that there's literally nothing that is linear. And so I think if we treat everything like that and allow ourselves to sit in that progress and with love and just be, there's so much power in that.
So much power. And something that you touched on, Cynthia, was the rhythm of the universe. It's never just an up. Oh, how I wish it was an up all the time. But it's never just an up. And I think I'm really speaking to myself here as a reminder to myself, because sometimes I forget. And I have down days, and I'm like, I will ask myself, like, is there something off within me that is causing me to feel this way? And then I take a step back and I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Nothing. I am perfect just as I am. And it is just how the universe and life flows, right? It's an up and then a down for us to learn and then reintegrate certain skills or certain lessons. And then we have an up again when we apply it. And then a down to show us, okay, now there's this new wall that we are faced with. Okay, how can we move past this wall? And I truly feel that that is a way we can give ourselves grace. Yeah, and not be so hard on ourselves, because in this capitalistic society, it's very hard to be hard on, it's very easy to be hard on yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
And believe and think that we always need to be doing something. We always need to be achieving something. And we always need to be experiencing the highs. And we see that so much on social media as well. But instead, can we take a breath? Can we honor, like what you said, where we were and now where we are, and all we've done to get to where we are now? And just realize that, okay, now it's just a down moment, but that means there will be an up moment soon, right? And when you're at that up moment, you know that there will be a down moment soon, but I think that also allows us to appreciate the up moment when it's there, because everything is everything is constantly changing. It's fluid. Yeah. There's this quote by a lovely Black queer feminist author named Octavia Butler, and she says, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only constant is change. God is change. I thought that was so beautiful. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. Ooh, like goosebumps. So I think that also allows us to embrace change more, because life is change. Yeah. I also heard this quote recently um, by a lady who experienced a near death experience, and her guide told her, just breathe, don't resist. And when she could bring that, it sounds so simple, just breathe, don't resist. But like, all that life is breath. You're just breathing.
Just breathing.
And if you can just breathe and don't resist, imagine how you would just move through life without resistance. Or not to say without, but with more flow, right? Honoring the resistance and then moving beyond it. And I think that's also going back to our conversation, how we can move ourselves slowly from fear into love again. Don't resist, just breathe.
Just breathe.
Just breathe.
I love that. And something that, this is bringing up for me is that when an emotion comes up that's very uncomfortable, we often, like you said, contract, we tense ourselves. And in terms of nervous system regulation, just the tension itself is going to tell your body that you're not safe. So it's not just the tension, or it's not just that feeling that's going to create the tension. Like, in fact, just the tension alone tells your body, I'm not safe. And so something I say is, like, we're so used to blocking out these emotions. Oh, that's a bad emotion. Okay, that's not a good emotion. I'm going to tense up and push it out. But what if you actually just let it in? What if you took a breath and and I think that those days where we experience those lows, that is an invitation to feel something that we necessarily maybe haven't had a chance to feel or acknowledge or honor. And so if everything is love, so is that feeling that you're experiencing. And so what if you just let it in? And we do the feel it exercise, where you literally, you just take a breath and you let it come in. Often, it's different for everybody, but you might feel that discomfort in your chest, and you let it flow down into your stomach, and you feel it for a second. And then you realize that, like, oh, this isn't so scary. Like, I can acknowledge you and I can honor you. And then it kind of melts away and it can float away. And it's this, like, everything just wants to be integrated. Everything just wants to be felt and honored, including your emotions and its energy. And the more we can do that, the more we're releasing. And again, it's this breath, it's this breathing it in and letting it release. So if we can allow ourselves, like you said, to open, to soften, just having that practice within your life, that softness, creates more spaciousness. I think, to experience all of the happy emotions too. And to not have to carry all those bags with you all the time.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It's heavy.
You can let them down
a
little bit.
And I can give an example, like the other day, and I think sometimes it's like, wait, is this my energy? Or maybe it's not even my energy that I'm feeling. Maybe it's the energy of what's happening and the cycle that we're in right now in terms of energetics. And I said to some of my, my clients in my community the other day, I said, I feel that the energy right now was for a few days of fear, but it was like an invitation to clear it. It was an invitation to honor it. And then it felt like there was also an element of fire. So
definitely.
Right? Did you feel, I was like, there is fear and fire, and it was coming up. And I was like, so if you're, and I say, in my memberships, I'll kind of share what an activation of what I'm feeling deeply. And I said, there's an element of fear, but there's a fire. There's a fire. And it felt to me like it was an invitation to just feel it, honor your fear as you continue to move into maybe an expansion where you will take more risks and you will do things that feel a little scary for your ego. So the more you can do that right now and honor it, the easier that will be. And the more you can, connect with the people that need you and share your gifts that we need. We're all here with gifts. And so, and then the fire was like, and it was this fire beneath us, right? Wasn't it that? It was
Every season.
Yes. You could feel the fire of, like, ooh, it's a becoming, it's a, like the phoenix rising. And it was so beautiful. And I experienced it. And that's where I was like, ooh, is this a collective? If you're experiencing it, others might be experiencing it too. And I just let all the fear in. I cried. I let the energy out. I
me too,
honored
girl.
it. Right?
Me too.
Wow. See, and this is why you connect with others in your community, because that's
a part of regulating your nervous system. It's knowing like, oh, I'm not alone in that. You felt that too. And I think it's one of my favorite things of being in the community and as a coach and a mentor is like, this is the energy I'm feeling. And it's validating for me to hear all of my clients go, me too.
Yep.
And if you're not feeling that, then that's perfect too. Everyone's in their own cycles as well. And but thank you for sharing. And it was heavy fear.
Yeah.
And I was cooking my kids dinner and I was like, I'm just gonna feel it. It's like a wave coming through. It feels like a wave. You let it in. Tears came out. I was cooking dinner. I was like, I'm a mom. I can't go isolate myself right now, but I can cry. And if my kids ask, I say there's a wave of energy coming through and I'm honoring it. And it's helping me. The tears are helping me release it. This is wonderful. And it gets to be safe. And then there's a fire that's come after that, and I think it's creating the space for that. I would love to know, yeah, your thoughts and your experience.
So much you said resonated. I think first and foremost, I love that you're creating that safe container for your children.
Thank you.
Like you just allowing your feelings to show up, not pushing them away, and allowing your children to see that part of you, your humanness, I think is such a superpower because then they too learn through observation from you that tears aren't weakness, right? Vulnerability is strength. And in my community, working with people from 15 all the way up to like 75, because we run book clubs and like there's an amalgamation of like different age groups in that book club. And it's lovely to see people from different walks of life, different ages, different phases of their life that they're in, come together and share. But the reason why I bring this up is because we too learn in our book clubs or like courses or we experience it not so much. Well, we learn through experience that it's okay to cry. And after a few weeks, when each of us are talking, like everyone is crying. The men are crying. And I'm like, oh, divine masculine, love that.
Yes.
Divine masculine, yes. Yeah. And
Yes, absolutely.
and I think that's something that I'm beginning to learn from my grandpa. My grandpa's really old now. He's maybe like 80, let's say 84. And he has Parkinson's. So he doesn't really talk very much anymore. Doesn't really move much anymore. But if you ask him questions, he can give like short replies, like 1 or 2 words. Yeah. But whenever I call him, he will look at me and I can see tears running down his eyes. And I don't know if it's because he misses me or because he loves me and I'm talking to him. But seeing my grandpa just cry, I'm like, he's at least feeling stuff and it's popping up for him. Yeah. And I think through my dad as well, I learned that true strength, true masculine strength is really being able to be vulnerable and be willing to learn and to put your ego aside and say, okay, maybe I don't know everything. And seeing him learn that and embody that is such a big thing for me. So I love that you're doing that for your children. I feel like that's so powerful. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing and how beautiful to be able to connect with your grandfather in some emotional way. There's some energy there and it's quite beautiful. And I will say it wasn't always like that. And that's where the things that happen in our lives everything is an invitation to learn or to heal. I really think that, all of our challenges are invitations. And my accident, while it was easily the most difficult thing I've had to experience, it took me 2 years to really even start to heal. And, their goal is to just have me be functional. So it was very difficult. But after my concussion, anytime I would get tired, I would cry. Like it wasn't even, there wasn't even an emotion to it. It was like, oh wait, this is just like a physical response now.
Yeah.
And And so I would look at technology for 5 minutes and I would just cry. And I was like, what is this? And because of my childhood experience, for me, crying didn't feel safe for me. And I had kind of vowed to myself, kind of unknowingly, like not having the knowledge I do now. So in terms of doing my best, I was like, I'm never going to cry in front of my
You
kids.
made that agreement.
I made that agreement of like, this, I'm going to not ever cry in front of my kids so that they don't have to worry about me. And after my concussion, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, universe and my soul was like, that's not, this is not how we rise. This is not, and so I didn't have a choice, and it again, it really was such a strong invitation, a really very strong invitation to have a conversation with myself and go, okay, wait, what's your relationship with crying, and where does it stem from?
Yep.
And it's that sitting with it.
Yep.
And it was like, and you know, what does it actually mean? And how are we carrying this story forward? And so I did that work. I just sat and had an honest conversation with myself and became, like you said, curious.
Yeah.
Willing to learn from my past self in terms of why this was coming up for me. And then I had a conversation with my kids, very honest. And I said, you know, we cry. Mommy, you're not used to seeing mommy cry, but you know, with this experience, I cry and it's healthy. And it also helped them build their relationship with crying and heal. And sometimes I don't make the right calls, and sometimes I'm not as honest with my kids and as much as I wish I was, and sometimes I don't deal with my emotions perfectly. And I think it's so important to mention, because as moms, there's so much guilt. There's so much pressure, and there's just so much guilt in knowing that, you know, your kids, if you're even thinking about this, you're a great mom, you're a great parent, you're a great caregiver. And but it was one of the greatest gifts that experience provided me, was teaching my kids that it was in fact safe and productive and beautiful. And it's just as productive as laughing, and it's just as safe as laughing. And so yeah, so it wasn't always like that, but a gift that came from a very difficult, challenging situation. And I think if we can use them as they are all invitations to help us in some form of way.
I love that so much. Just for little context, while growing up, I never used to cry. When I experienced fights, yes, I would cry. I would feel anger, and then I would express it through tears. But when I used to watch shows, I would only cry for dog shows.
Me too.
Only.
I cannot watch. No, if there's an animal involved, I can't. I was always like that as a kid. No.
So like Marley and Me, tears. Hachiko, tears. But like any other show that was sad, no tears. And now, after being on, like, consciously doing the spiritual work for, let's say, about 11 years now, I cry every day, and like joyful tears, sad tears, but I feel like it's exactly what you said. It helps us regulate our nervous system. And Cynthia, I have a question for you. Okay, a little fun question. If you could have a spiritual superpower, what superpower would it be and why?
Oh, spiritual superpower. I think for me, such a great question. Because there are spiritual and intuitive gifts that have developed as I've grown, and I love them. I think it would just to be and continue to expand. I think it would be a way of letting people feel what love feels like. Because once you know what that feels like, it's something you can't forget. And I think for me, like, I'll get emotional talking about this. That's why I became a Reiki practitioner. For me, just and there's so many ways of allowing us to tap into the end, like the real, like my hands are burning as I'm saying this, like the real beautiful energy of love and divinity. And when you tap into that and you find a way to just connect to your heart space, like feel your heart, right? And breath does that. There's other ways of doing that. Breath actually allows you to connect to your heart. I know that there's some breath work, I'm going off a little bit, practitioners that say like they've gone into really difficult situations where it was maybe like men who've had to live in their masculine. One woman, she was talking about being actually in a jail, and these were people who have lived very difficult lives and haven't necessarily had access to their heart. And through breath, they were like, this is the first time I felt my heart. So it's not this big superpower. I think it's just sharing. It's allowing people to feel what it feels like.
That's a big superpower.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think
huge.
I think it's raising the collective consciousness. I think it's what we're doing. I think it's creating a community where people can feel that. And so yeah, I'm really excited. I want to continue to think about that one because that's a beautiful question. I think it's just that.
Like imagine if you could like walk through any space and have that superpower just at your fingertips. Like, ooh.
Yeah,
What
and
would you
imagine
bring?
like right? Like, and you imagine you could just walk into a space, and I think, but that's the beauty. I think we all do have the power to do that. I think we all have a superpower. That is our superpower. You can walk into the room and you can change somebody's day and life just like that in that one moment, just by being you. Because I think that I really believe like and that's why UNIQUEFemme exists, is that we all come with unique gifts. They're unique, and the more we can uncover what those are by honoring ourselves, by doing the work, by sitting with the shadow, by coming back to our truth, and for me, spirituality was a big part of that. That's where the world actually gets to feel love, because what better way, right? Like, than you just honoring yourself deeply, you inspire others to do the same. So yeah, I don't know, that's not a direct answer, but
it is so direct.
It's there, yeah.
That's what I meant. I think for me, it would be, I was sitting with this question recently, that's why I wanted to ask you. And I was like, if I could have any superpower, what would it be? On our topic of nervous system regulation, I would want to be able to just have such a calm nervous system that when I'm around other people, they sync up to that nervous system, and it allows them to feel, it allows them to like drop back into their body, into their heart space. And I also feel like a calm nervous system allows us to also connect with the energy realm, with our spiritual guides, with our higher self, with our ancestors, just because we are a receptive channel.
Yes.
We're an open channel, yes? And I think if I could have any superpower, that's the superpower I would love to have, because when I experience people with a really calm nervous system and I'm just in the same space with them, I'm like, it's not even the modalities that you're engaging in or the techniques. It's just your calm nervous system. And I'm like, it's that simple. Okay, this is something I can commit myself to. And a way that a tool that I've been using to calm my nervous system is breath work. And it's this technique where you inhale for a count of 4. So if you like to do it with us, you can. So you would inhale for a count of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold at the top for 2. 1, 2. And then you exhale for 6. So 1, 2, 6. And you will repeat that several times. And what I do when I breathe is also like dropping into my heart. So I would shift my attention, my awareness on my heart space, and imagine that I had like little nostrils in my heart center that are breathing in that air directly. I think I've heard that from Ram Das, and that's what he says. Breathe in through your heart space as if you had little nostrils. And when I tried that, I feel my heart expand, like that heart center. Yeah.
Those are two beautiful tools. I love that. And anybody who's in my world or in the same community knows breath work is it's really how I actually helped heal my concussion was breath work and nervous system regulation, which is why I went into that world. And so yes, breathing techniques is and that's a great one. We've got the 4-7-8 breathing technique. That one's my favorite. It's the same as that. You hold for 7 and exhale for 8.
You hold for 7. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, we hold for 7. It's a long one.
Awesome.
And it depends. It depends. Like, what I love is I see like the tools that we use and the modalities for nervous system regulation to come back to that kind of state of calm, so we can then access the greater gifts, right? And the connect with our guides, even in terms of we talk about human design, being able to connect to your human design. If you want to know what the intuitive message is or what feels like truth, you have to be in your body. And when we don't feel safe in our body, we move into our heads. And so for me, it's creating a toolbox of tools. And sometimes you pull out a tool and it's not going to work that day. So you try a different one. It's being curious. And there's, one tool that's going to work so much better for one person. And so I think it's being so flexible in all of our approaches. And when it comes to nervous system regulation, it's like, it doesn't have to be the same one that I like. It gets to be your own. That's the best part of it. But you just put them all in there and then you have access. And then when you can't reach the toolbox, the tool is to just not shame yourself afterwards. The tool is to actually come back to self-compassion. And so I love that you said that. And we can feel. I think especially when we're energy workers and we're in this world and we're connected in this way, we feel the energy. That was something that I felt was like, wow, I'm already an intuitive empath. It's not something that I share often, but that's my gift. So I can feel where the person I'm working with is feeling the discomfort or the energy. But developing that was beautiful. Developing that also required me to be even more intentional in terms of the spaces that I walk into. And so it's a beautiful journey. But yes, so I would imagine walking in and I think, you know what, though, when you walked in here, I think that it is one of your superpowers, because I was like,
oh, I'm glad.
It's true. She's strong. Like, there's this strength, and then there was also this calmness. There was just love and strength. I don't know that love and strength. That's what I felt, and it was very beautiful.
Glad. Yeah. Yeah. I'm an Aries, so the strength, the fire, but also there's a Cancer in me. My rising is Cancer. So that's like the gentleness, like the softness. I feel like my Cancer balances my Aries out.
I love that. There you go. The strength and the softness, because there is, I could see that. I'm a Cancer. So, and
oh my
I'm
gosh.
rising Pisces. So I'm very sensitive.
You're a full water element.
Full
Wow.
water, my friend.
You feel a lot, honey.
Yes, I feel a lot, and it's part of my gifts. And I think that even in terms of like sensual movement and sacral activation, I think that's why I'm so connected to that, because our sacral is water, and it's creativity, it's creation, it's sensuality, it's partly, some of our feminine essence, and it's divine, and it's magnetic, and so I think that it's also the reason that it makes sense in terms of my own calling. And once I started really honoring that, it became just so good. Like, it just feels so good. But yes, I feel deeply.
I love what you said. I think on the topic of the rising consciousness and moving towards the new earth, something that I'm really calling forth for myself, and you can take this if you feel inspired, take it all, is what is in alignment to my joy? And asking myself that, answering it, and knowing deep in my core that if I were to follow and align myself to whatever is in alignment to my joy, that outflow or that overflow of that joy I can give to others. Yeah. And I've heard this somewhere. Someone said that your joy is intrinsically connected to your purpose. And so when you want to look at your purpose, you don't need to look far. You just need to ask yourself, what feels joyful for me? What does my soul feel called to explore? And the overflow of that joy is also your purpose. Yes. Being able to like share that joy with other people through different forms, different ways, and different expressions. So that's something I'm really calling in for myself. I am not calling in for myself forceful working. No. After I finish university, I'm in my last semester. I've only have exams left and then I'm done. And I'm really gonna like dive into my own business. I'm gonna run like collective workshops and doing this back in Malaysia, working with the queer community back in Malaysia. And yeah, that's something I'm really calling in. Really joyful work that allows me to rest and refuel, work that replenishes me when I engage with people. Yeah. And not have to force or struggle anymore. Yeah. And there can be challenges, but then embracing them with like curiosity or a lot of willingness. So yeah, I think I'm calling it.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that is the best message to end with. And I think it's something that I also share deeply. And
Yeah.
I believe in that message deeply. It's,
Mm.
I think, one of my core values.
Mm.
And so I think that's just such a beautiful way to really summarize, this beautiful conversation. I hope you'll come back because wow, I just feel like
I would love to come back if you would have me.
absolutely to learn from you and to just be in your energy.
Uh-huh.
And so thank you. That made me emotional and I felt that through my body as truth.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for coming and chatting with me today and sharing your gifts. And if somebody does feel called to work with you
Yep.
or to connect with you, where can we find you and
Oh my gosh.
what offerings do you think would be aligned?
So you can find me on my Instagram, at Sophie Mei Williams, May with a MEI, and maybe Cynthia, you can put it in the show notes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
We will. Yep.
And I offer different things. I am an Akashic reader, so I can go into your Akashic library and connect you with your guides. And you can ask questions to your guides, and your guides will communicate them to you. And for me, as an Akashic reader, I am a translator of your guide's wisdom to you. So I'm basically just the middleman. And when I'm in the Akashic records, I see visuals, I see like a story playing out. The guides usually explain it through a lot of analogy, and then we will uncover the symbolic meaning afterwards. I also hear sounds. I can also smell different things. Like if I'm walking in a grassy field and there is dew on the grass after rain, I can smell that smell. So I would just really describe as much as I can to the client so they feel that, oh, I'm imagining it all. Like I can see it, I can feel it, I feel like I'm there. So that's my role as an Akashic reader. I also offer energy release sessions. So I am an emotion code practitioner. I also work with the body code, and basically I use muscle testing as a way to decode certain energies that are causing imbalances within the body, and then we release that together. That's something I also offer. But one of my deepest joys is being able to run collective workshops and book clubs and courses. So that will be done in a community. Usually we do it online, sometimes in person. So if you are interested and curious, you can find it all out on my Instagram. I usually will post about it there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It's just so good. Of course.
Do it even on the air.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you. What a gift.
Thank
We
you.
are so grateful for you. And thank you, everybody. We hope that you're able to connect to something that we, talked about today. And send us a message if you want to connect with us. We would love to connect with you. And we love you so much. Bye.
Ciao.